Buenos dias. We just had an amazing AMA with our Cito Plus members with the man himself, Mac, co-CEO at Interchain Labs. Sepmos was there also to interview Mac basically and ask the right questions because we got a lot of alpha out of him, a lot of alpha around IBC Eureka, what it actually does, and also the go-to-market strategy for IBC Eureka and how it will change the game for the Cosmos Hub and also Atom's value accrual and Atom's role as an interchain service provider. And to be honest, these guys are cooking very, very hard. And also Brian was in there, which was cool. He also just jumped quickly on stage to ask a question to Mac. So very good vibes. Vibes are being restored, positive, bullish sentiment within Cosmos relative to the rest of the market, I think, is actually better. It's actually more positive than where the rest of crypto is right now. And that's mainly because we're now seeing a lot of things being shipped with the first ever IBC Eureka transaction from the Cosmos Hub to the Ethereum mainnet. That's a mainnet transaction with the text Aleph Cosmos, a message that was sent with the transaction. Highly efficient, not only making the Cosmos Hub a real router now, and Mac also shared this on the AMA yesterday, basically saying that with IBC Eureka, they're re-envisioning IBC as a protocol and also peg it to the value accrual for Atom. So until now, IBC's adoption, success, and growth was entirely decoupled from Atom's success as a token. But with IBC v2, the success of Atom will also be correlated to the success of that protocol. And Mark also shares that more than 50 projects will be integrating IBC Eureka. There will also be a big marketing campaign around it. And honestly, if the Cosmos Hub can land partner chains like Nillion, Berachain, Story Protocol, Initia, maybe even Movement, right? I think then we're in for a very, very nice treat. And the next phase eventually is also going to be permissionless smart contracts. Max shared some very, very big alpha on that last night for our Cito Plus members. Then we also have Barry, who is Mac's high school friend and co-CEO at Interchain Labs. And the way Mac described their dynamics internally is that Barry is the chief execution officer and Mac is the chief external officer. So they have their roles and hats that they're wearing, but they're long-term friends. They co-founded Skip Protocol together, which then got acquired by the ICF and now renamed into Interchain Labs. And what is so refreshing about this new leadership is that they're not only actively reaching out, but they're also calling for people to reach out to them. And until now, that has been entirely missing. Until now, we had a foundation that wasn't even responsive to inbound, which is absolutely unheard of. And many times it would happen that people would reach out to me, the YouTuber guy, asking on how to get a grant, how do I get started, how do I build in Cosmos, how do I connect to team XYZ. And luckily now we have new leadership that is actually taking full accountability here. And I think that is a big, big shift. Very also further saying that one of the most underrated part of IBC Eureka is the fact that this builds on everything Skip has been working on for the past 2 years. And Skip has shipped a lot of products, for example, IBC.fun, which is now called Skip.go, or Slinky, which is the default oracle in many chains, such as Dydx, for example. So they're integrating that from day one with all those partners that they already have established relationships with, and all these front ends, which account to more than 50 front ends, aggregators, and wallets, such as Osmosis as well, Kepler Wallet, Neutron, and many, many more. So that's very exciting. Now, one thing that I've been thinking a lot about in recent weeks, as this is all now coming together, the puzzle pieces are coming together, is to maybe revive the idea of Emeris. If you've been around for a while, then you probably remember Emeris, which was supposed to be this universal front end for Cosmos, a dApp aggregator that would be built on the Cosmos Hub. Well, that idea was abandoned after Jaquan came back and AIB, formerly known as Tenement Inc., entirely kind of refocused and restructured internally and is now basically in charge and for the core development of Atom 1, which is a fork of the Cosmos Hub and Atom. But I think reviving the idea of Emeris for the Cosmos Hub as this universal front end that gives access to all applications in Cosmos, a unified front end for the interchain, I think something like that would actually be absolutely amazing. Now, Range Security also bull posting Atom now. Big shout out to Monty and also Syed, picturing a scenario in which the Cosmos Hub would be the ultimate router hub, not only within Cosmos, but now also outside of Cosmos. And I think this is something that a lot of people are truly underestimating. There were attempts in the past from projects such as Picasso Network that were expanding IBC to other ecosystems, but they have failed to gain meaningful adoption and to also build that out. But now the Cosmos Hub is reclaiming its position as the interoperability hub for Cosmos and beyond, and which also means more relevance for Atom holders, the Atom token, and more significance and innovation for the Cosmos Hub's positioning as an interchain service provider, also capturing value that is flowing through the hub, which is something that has been inexistent until now. Well, at least so far, none of that is reflecting on the charts. We're still seeing a sub $5 Atom. And on yesterday's AMA, Mug also shared that they're actively talking to VCs and liquid funds and basically restoring the thesis around Atom, and considering there's still a double-digit APR actually makes for a compelling investment thesis. Now pair this with actual product market fit around IBC Eureka, finally after so many years of failed directions, failed attempts to make the Cosmos Hub relevant. And we covered all of that here on this channel. If you think about Asteroid Protocol, you think about Gravity DEX from back in the day, we think about so many other ideas that have been floating around. But now I think we are seeing the first wave of adoption coming, true adoption that would make the hub a true hub. Well, we're still in the top 60 though, $2 billion market cap, which means Atom, despite all the FUD, despite all the infighting, despite all the drama, still did not fall off the cliff, still did not fall out of the top 100. There are other chains and protocols that have been around as long as the Cosmos Hub has that basically fell into total irrelevance and do not have anything substantial going on right now, right? Now we already see a lot of projects that are Atom aligned, such as Illis Network, Shade Protocol, that have been there through the darkest times of the Cosmos Hub. And there are a couple of ways to be Atom aligned. Number one, IBC Eureka. Number two, Project Highway, which we don't really know yet what exactly that is. Maybe it has something to do with permissionless smart contracts, but let's see what that will be about. Then we have a massive hardcore Atom community that is still there, still standing, still bull posting, and they're actually also taking the initiative. They're actively contributing, creating content, educating people, defending Atom on social media. And I think this is something that is very, very important because it shows a sign of life for the Cosmos Hub and Atom. The ICFs, or basically Interchain Labs, $300 million treasury for support when it comes to marketing, liquidity infusion, which is a big war chest. And Mac also mentioned yesterday that they managed to cut down their annual spend from $50 million, 50 million, to $10 million, and they want to further decrease it. So they basically pulled an Elon move on the Interchain Foundation, which is amazing. And also with that, what the Cosmos Hub is basically doing is also to reclaim the Cosmos brand, which has also been a fragmented brand, but now they're reclaiming that, and the Cosmos Hub will be the core flagship chain of the Cosmos ecosystem again. And that means more Atom integrations in the Cosmos ecosystem, but also revenue accrual, fees, routing transactions for the Cosmos Hub and Atom. And we'll see also upcoming chains like Babylon and the one that just went live, Nillion Network Story Protocol also just went live. But I think Babylon is also going to be a big chain, a big launch that is launching soon, very, very soon, within a few weeks. Now, the call to action for you is, number one, which chains would you love to see the Cosmos Hub and Atom to synergize with and to be aligned with? And number two, if you have any questions for David, the founder of Babylon, because I'm interviewing him this week, and the interview will go live sometime towards the end of the week, maybe early next week. So drop your questions if you have any for David, founder of Babylon. Now, I'm also proud to unveil the new website for Cosmosverse 2025. We're coming to Split, Croatia in late October, October 30 to November 1st, 3 full days, multi-stage experience. We'll also merge Hackmas with Cosmos this year. So it will take place at the same venue, same time, and will basically be an expansion of the builder stage. So we'll have 2 stages, the Hackmas stage, the main stage, all of the projects. We also have a new team now. We're going to unveil that also publicly on Twitter in the coming days. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, just a brand new website, also pictures from the new venue of this year, which is an absolute stunning venue. We just spent a whole week there, and it's just absolutely amazing. Early bird tickets will be crazy cheap and are coming within the next 2 weeks. So the best thing you can do right now is to sign up to our newsletter and to be informed once early bird tickets are going live. You will also be able to book a room, a discounted room at the Cosmosverse 2025 venue. You can actually already do that at 105 euros a night, which includes a rich breakfast buffet. And this hotel is absolutely amazing, like just to stay there for a couple of days. And I think those prices are pretty much unheard of these days for a 5-star Meridian hotel. So check that out and be early to book your trip for this year's Cosmosverse. It will definitely be worth it. Now, switching over to Osmosis, the OG DeFi chain in Cosmos that brought IBC to the market when it launched, which is something the Cosmos Hub should have done, but never did because there was no product alignment, no coordination, and no streamlined efforts to do that. Well, Osmosis did it, and I think for that alone, Osmosis is immortal because they took IBC to the market back in the days, and OG Cosmonauts will never forget that. However, throughout the years, Osmosis also went through a lot of drama, through a lot of iterations when it comes to the product roadmap, was heavily affected by the collapse of Terra and UST, which at that time was the number one, the most liquid and most paired token for Osmosis as the DEX. And now Osmosis is entering a new chapter because they're becoming a Bitcoin secured network, or may become a BSN, which means Babylon, basically leveraging their security, the Bitcoin security, to secure Osmosis. And there will also be a revenue share, which means there's no inflation used, but the BSN will be funded by ticker fee share on Babylon assets, which means that finality providers, and with Stakecito, we're one of them on Babylon, we can basically opt to secure Osmosis, and in return, we would earn a share of the fees from the Osmosis platform. So real revenue shares and no inflated security budget, which I think would be very interesting to see if that plays out. And with this whole direction they're going about Bitmosis to merge Bitcoin and Osmosis, I think that makes a lot of sense. However, I will also say that at this point, I'm still a bit confused on what is the core essence of Osmosis, right? Is it a DeFi hub? Is it going to be Polaris, which is a multi-chain DeFi platform? Is it going to be an Interchain DEX, a Bitcoin L2? I think the Osmosis leadership should basically choose one core narrative, one core direction, and just triple down on that, right? And if it is Bitmosis, then I'm fully on board with that. I think that makes a lot of sense to integrate Babylon to be also the primary DEX and launch partner for Babylon itself and the baby token that is coming very, very soon. And they also actually have a deal there to actually already make that happen. But I think they should then primarily focus on that to make Osmosis the primary DEX for Bitcoin trading, BTC trading, and to also leverage Bitcoin security through Babylon. That makes a lot of sense. But yeah, we'll see which direction they are going with and how Polaris also fits into all of that. I'm still not 100% sure how that all fits together. Well, they also have a deal which would basically allocate 25 million baby tokens, and those 25 million baby tokens will be going to the OGP, the Osmosis Grants Program, and over 4 tranches to, I guess, fund the integration work. Another OG Cosmos chain that's been around forever is Akash Network, led by Greg Osuri, who is the founder of Akash, and now in times of ChatGPT also releasing this Ghibli mode where you can also create those Ghibli style images, raises again the demand and shows the problems that AI infrastructure has, which is GPU supply. Sam Altman saying GPUs are melting, so they basically had to limit a temporary rate limit for those Ghibli images. And Greg also saying ChatGPT is just unable to keep up with demand due to limited GPU and energy supply. Compute is scarce. And guess who's been saying that for a very, very, very long time? Well, Greg Osuri, he's been saying that forever. And the Akash Network is well positioned to capture the market share in the Web3 compute space and to be also critical underlying AI infrastructure. And AI as a vertical, even outside of crypto, is going to blow up. It's unstoppable at this point. And Akash Network is just well positioned to capture some market shares there. And the best part is that this is fully made in Cosmos, and the native coin of Akash Network, AKT, also just got listed on Coinbase perps trading. So you can now trade perps on Coinbase. And eventually, I think also AKT will get listed on Binance. That one is still outstanding. Now switching over to airdrop news, we have a lot of airdrop news. I reported in the last video about the Ohm airdrop. We're still waiting for our Ohm allocation to be revealed for OMI NFT holders. Now we got another one, which is the Initia Airdrop, and you can check your eligibility on airdrop.initia.xyz. Just click on that link, connect your wallet. There are basically 3 ways on how you can qualify. Number 1, by being a testnet user. Number 2, by being an ecosystem partner user. So they call it the interwoven stack partners, which includes Milky Way, for example, but also IBC power users. And then also social contributors. If you tweeted about Initia, then you might get an allocation here as well. We also did a full breakdown from the Stakecito account here on Twitter the moment it came out, which is why it pays to have our accounts with notifications on. That is for the Stakecito account, the CryptoCito account, also Cito Zone accounts, and of course Cosmosverse org. If you have notifications on for all those accounts, then there's barely a way that you can miss any alpha in Cosmos. That also counts for Saga, and a new snapshot was taken. I guess this is for Vault 2.0, which is primarily incentivizing liquidity depositors now that the liquidity integration layer has launched. And this snapshot was taken 3 days ago. So if you are a depositor on Lil, then you might get this airdrop as well. And we also have some news from a sleeping project that is going to wake up on Thursday. April 3rd is mainnet launch for Arkeo network. This one has been in the works for many years. I think they first announced it in 2022. I also did interviews here 2 years ago with the core team. I think it was March or April of 2023. And now this is finally launching. And with it also the long-awaited Arkeo airdrop. Remember that this project, which is basically an RPC infrastructure play, a decentralized blockchain data marketplace, is actually co-developed by Shapeshift team members, and also I think Chad Barraford, the core engineer at Interchain. And you can see all the content I did here, a live stream around 2 years ago. We also covered it here around a year ago. With the core team behind Arkeo Networks. So that one is finally coming, which is refreshing, and very excited to see where this one lands. And this one is still the OG airdrop eligibility criteria, which means Atom stakers, Osmos stakers, Juno stakers even. So yeah, that one might still be a recovery fund from all the pain and suffering we endured over the years. And final piece of news, Echoes.fun, which is an AI agents platform that was developed by Stride, is shutting down May 1st. A basically failed experiment that was launched by the Stride team that gained some traction, but never really massive traction. So they're permanently shutting down May 1st. If you have funds on Echoes, then please withdraw that and send it back to your home chain. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. You're bullish on IBC Eureka, which is going to be a big launch for Cosmos, the Cosmos Hub and Atom. Check out Cito Plus if you want to become a premium member. You can find information on Cito.zone. On the top right, you'll see Cito Plus and find all information there. That's all for today. Cito out. I'll see you soon. Until then, stay safe and be good.